My Holiness, you will consider back to Southeast Asia again. I am in Bhutan. I might go to Singapore to give some teachings and with my students, but then I'll come back to Bhutan because this year I've been traveling for 5 months and I'm completely exhausted and drained. And when I came back to Bhutan, and I was thinking, okay, finally I'll have a little bit of break time, and then there's so many things to do, and of course it's a positive things, and I'm very happy to do it. But physically it's a little bit tiring. But at the same time, whenever you see our Himalayan Dharma brothers and sisters, and whether you're Nepalese or whether you're Tibetans, whether you're Bhutanese, when they show their tremendous faith and devotion, just because you have the name of Rinpoche, and when you see things like that, and then you feel even more motivated, no matter how exhausted you are, so that is my source of energy, I would call it. For me, their faith and their determination of their faith to Buddha Dharma without the blind faith, but based on the fact and evidence and the teachings of the Lord Buddha, and then showing that tremendous faith and devotion from their side is incredible. Especially when I went to east of Bhutan a few weeks ago, it was incredible. People waiting on the side of the road, and there's a 99 years old lady waiting on the side of the street, inside of the road to get a blessing. And then when I arrived from the Yonpula airport, as I entered towards the Dashigan area, and then further to the Kurta section, there was more and more people waiting on the side of the road and carrying vegetables and fruit and cheese and whatever they could, and then you could see, regardless of the age, and then you could see the school children with so much respect. And then when you see all that, then you feel like, wow, all these people have so much faith in Buddha Dharma. And then myself, I just have the name of Rinpoche, and I should definitely do more, And I really felt, how can I describe, like it touched my heart. And then people are sitting in the rain while I was giving empowerment, like resisting the rain and the wind and the hailstorm. And they were, it's beyond me, their devotion and their faith is beyond me. And for me, when I see that, and then you feel like, of course there's a rest of the world and people and different nationalities. Of course, we are all equal. In terms of the human race, we are all equal. But when it comes to the faith in the Bhutanese here, whether you're from the east, west, north, south, doesn't matter. Their faith to Buddha Dharma is incredible. And for me, and previous Kalu Rinpoche has a long history, coming from Tibet and residing over to eastern part of Bhutan for more than 12 years and establishing a 3 years retreat twice, the Shangpa Niguma retreat. And I went there this time. I was there when I was 5 years old. I don't remember anything. I was riding a horse, but this time when I was there, I went to all the holy places, met so many people, and thousands of people, and then it was incredible, the amount of devotion. And then sometime there's an old lady, physically disabled, sitting, waiting on the side of the road, waiting to get a glimpse of of me and so on. Then whenever I see those people on the side of the road, I always immediately tell the driver to stop the car, and I offer my blessing, like the statue, the old statue that I always carry with me, and I offer them blessing. And I just couldn't ignore them by like I'm Rinpoche, and like just going straight away in the car as if that I don't see them. And these people are incredible, so much faith. You can blame on blind faith, but their definition of faith is, you cannot say it's a blind faith. It's something from the bottom of the heart. And some of them, don't have a car, and they walk for miles and miles away just to see a few seconds, just to get a little bit close to the temple or Rinpoche or like the empowerment. So when I see all these things, it's so special. And then I want to go to the east again, and I want to come to Bhutan again and again. Of course, this is my home country. Of course, I have to travel around the world. Of course, I have to do my center responsibility. Of course, there's a lot of other pleasant things about my responsibility and unpleasant things about my responsibility. But, like even when I go for running in the morning from Taba to Deshpu, and people would stop their car and, take their kids out of the car and get a blessing, and crossing the road, a bunch of teenagers, who has a little bit of tattoo and a little bit of, youthful energy, and even they would just cross the street and just to get a picture and get a blessing. And when I see all this, I don't feel like I have achieved something. When I see these people, the way they behave, because the reason they have faith in me is not because I'm somebody special, it's because of the Buddha Dharma's blessing. And because of the Buddha's Dharma blessing, and then the very existence of that faith is come down to the one that ruled this nation, with the dharmic principle intact, not just a civil principle, but also a spiritual and the dharmic principle intact. And therefore, when you have the leader like that, it has a chain reaction, a generational chain reaction. And when you can see that and then feel that in daily basis, and it does nothing but to motivate you and to do more. So I'm not trying to do a PR work here. I'm just explaining what it is. I'm not trying to promote and say, hey, look at this, look at that, and I'm promoting my country. I'm not saying that. I've been around the world, but the people with so much faith, it's something, something first-hand experience. And like an example, in Tibet, you see people, they go for long prostration for days and days, days and days, days and days. From Shikatse to Lhasa, they go days and hours, and sometimes they cross districts and province. And these are the people who has a tremendous devotion, tremendous faith. And also in Bhutan, you see exactly that. You see so many people, their face is completely sunburned, and of course there's a traffic and people, and they do long prostration, jangcha, walking few steps, and they do jangcha. And for me, when I see these things, you feel like a piece of shit. To be honest, you feel like a piece of shit because you can see their devotion, their love to the Buddha Dharma. And then when you are a practitioner, and it's inspiring, it's encouraging. Because when you travel around the world, of course, you give teaching in a university, you meet so many people who have faith in Dharma. But the moment the teaching is finished, then you are completely in a different dimension of reality, isn't it? And then there's like bustling with all the different opportunities, people crossing path in the middle of the street, and so on. Yeah, and here, in Himalaya region, you are in the temple, people have faith. You're outside of the temple, people have a faith in Buddha Dharma. And this is something that we should not just consider normal, and this is something we must pass down to the next generation. Because if the one generation is lost with a language and culture and cannot repeat again too many times, you see. Like in Japan, they're going through that kind of a suffering or struggle. Like in Korea also, majority of the people, they have a different faith, no longer a Buddhist majority. And that is also due to famine and wars and civil infightings and so on and so forth. Of course, there's so many thousands of reasons. And but if one generation is lost, and then everything is forever lost. Not just the Dharma, but also such as craftsmanship, how to paint, Buddhist sculpture, statues, all of that. So us as a Himalayan Dharma brothers and sisters, we have a very strong responsibility to maintain. Of course, we have to adapt with the modern culture, but at the same time, try to do something about it to make sure that we have a little bit of smell of our ancestor left in us, so that we can pass down. Whether you're a Western person, whether you're Eastern person, doesn't matter. I think a little bit of spirituality is something that we must carry on, and I think that is very important, and it's just my opinion. So that's that. Yeah. I'm sorry, I got carried away. So now let me read the questions. Armon Paul, I have followed you for about 4 years and I am now a monk. Just got my vow 2 months ago in Namdruling University in Karnataka. I flew from Indonesia. I hope one day meet you in person in Bhutan. Many tashidele to you for being a monk and upholding a celibate vow. That is very important. Now, be aware of your own pride. That is very important. Many so-called monk, they think just not by being with a woman or not stealing things, and they justify their monk, they're pure. It's not like that. Definition of being a monk, definition of being a ngakpa means having awareness in the mind, having awareness of one's own state of mind illusion, and that define you as a monk. That define you as a ngakpa. So therefore I request you, don't just be happy that you have not committed 1 or 2 crime, and therefore you are this and you are that. Please don't. Continue to progress in your spiritual journey with a sense of awareness, and I'm sure you will do good. And many tashitele to you, Amon Paul. Pema Wangshu, what is the easiest way to liberate for a layman? That is one thing you need to stop thinking like, I am a layman, therefore I am a lesser being, therefore I am a lesser, I have a, less potential, or I have less chance, to succeed or to be liberated. First, that is one thing you have to stop thinking. Long as that you have a bodhicitta in mind and with the right intention. The right intention is very simple. The right intention is seeing the suffering as it is, not just thinking, oh, this is suffering, oh yes, everything is impermanent, everything is suffering, or the cycle of life and all the 3 poisons and everything that is born has a death. And not the classical classical way of reflecting to oneself, but really examining in oneself, really truly examining in one's own suffering, what you have suffered today. Don't look at the painting on the wall of the temple and say, oh, these are the cycle of suffering, or this is the pig is the symbol of ignorance. The bird is signified as desire. The snake is signified as anger or jealousy and so on. Don't just try to reflect your mind on the painting on the wall of the temple, but what did you suffer today? That is the question we have to ask. Not what you have heard from other people, not what other people told you to think, not what you have read in the book. What have you suffered today? What caused that suffering today? What made you terrible mood today? So what happened today? What made you miserable? What was the cause of that? By whom? And who was that whom? And if that was you, and then how did you project it into that reality? And if there is a projection towards with the anger, what is the existence of the anger? What is the origin of the anger? And what is the origin of the jealousy that comes from the anger? What was the sense of discontent from the state of mind? Try to analyze like that. It's much better. Because when you look at the temple, of course, these are all example. Doesn't mean that you have to think it like that. You don't have to be so boring. You just spice it up a little bit, right? Spice it up a little bit. It's a little bit like a cooking, When you go to a restaurant, you pay, you eat what they serve. It's boring. And you make by yourself, you make a mistake. Sometimes you put too much butter, you put too much oil, you put too much salt, and over the time, again and again, and then you become a good chef, So, because I cook for my lamas and my guests whenever I'm around the world. I like to do that. Then we socialize, we make a meeting together. So there's a little bit of less hierarchy and less layers of illusions, So that's that. Yeah. Lobzang Memba, Tashidele Rinpoche la, I would like to ask you about a very interesting topic which those kind of topic never taught in the monastery for monks. I guess it is very important to know about this lesson for this topic. Especially for the young monks, how to control the sexual activities and to avoid it. Excuse me. The whole idea of the monk is the one who have renounced the ordinary life, the ordinary worldly things. And once you renounce that, and then you take a vow, not by force, then you take a vow, you become a monk. But then if you are forced to follow the rules like a law, if you have that feeling and that impression, that means you have not understood the true definition of being a monk. Because the true definition of being a monk is honesty to oneself. Honesty to oneself, renunciation of the worldly things, and then the vow of the celibate is simply just a small step rather than a big step, So that's that. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so where is the question? Give me the question. Kuchi something. Now the question jiname is shudola. Padma Veze. Rinpoche, do you have any advice for individuals who may feel lonely during the holiday season, please? Do you know any more about the launch of the study practice program you want to organize for 5-6 years? Yeah, regarding the Shambhakaju seminar, that is for the 6-year course, that will be, the detail will be announced, I think January, February. I think around January, February next year, the beginning of next year, we will make the announcement and of the details so that all of you can register, to do the study and the practice and the empowerment, transmission, and so on. Yeah. Okay, Rena, thank you, Rinpoche. One of many purposes of meditation is to realize our Buddha nature. I find it very hard, especially as a young person who wants to build a successful career, a materialistic world, but built on labeling, hunger for power, and selfish desire. How can we balance the spiritual and the material world while also realizing our Buddha nature? I think I would say all of us, just because the one person is in the temple doesn't mean that person is fully renounced. So where we are, what we do, does not define us all the time. And long as that you keep your heart in Dharma, wanting to practice and willing to practice, dedicating your body, speech, and mind with the little time that you have, with a sense of full awareness in your mind, whether you're doing a 15 minutes of meditation, whether you're doing a 30 minutes of Niguma yoga, and then that's good enough. compared to the person who say, oh, I'm in a retreat, oh, I'm in a temple, oh, I'm in here, I'm there. And while their mind is all over the place, or like, oh, I am this and I'm that, now they should perceive me as a great being. Now they should respect me and put me on the throne. A sense of entitlement, right? All these are rubbish people. So there's no, they cannot even help themselves, let alone helping the people around the world, you see? So therefore, don't feel so alone and so low about yourself. Long as you practice Dharma, whether you're in the retreat, whether you're in the monastery, whether you're a ngapa, whether you're a monk or a nun, whether you're living a busy world, make sure that every practice you do, make sure that your mind is fully awakened and very much aware. And that is the most important. Okay? And then the rest of the spiritual things will progress by itself. Jigdal Tachidala Rinpoche, how to practice mindfulness for the beginner. The mindfulness beginner, I think the word of mindfulness has a different kind of context. Like an example, people who go in America and like in Europe, when they talk about mindfulness, it's a whole different chapter about what it means to be a mindfulness. And for us as a Buddhist practitioner, the definition of mindfulness is a combination of wisdom, kindness, and awareness of your body, speech, and mind. That these are the principles. The second is that how to utilize as in practice. The first stage of the mindfulness practice is based on doing yoga, such as Niguma yoga, and then with physical awareness. And then the mental awareness is having awareness of your breath. Once you have awareness of the breath, you have the awareness of your mind. So that's that. You cannot have that idea that I want to control my mind. You should not do that. It's a little bit like the calmer the sea, the calmer the water, the more depth you can see, isn't it? So the more calm the sea or the water is, the more depth you can see. So therefore, having this attitude of that, oh, I need to meditate, I need to do this, do that, like sense of a little bit like objective and like a work, that kind of a mental attitude has to be abandoned. But rather being joyful, that such as physically having a gentle movement, and then also on the breath, your mind recognizing the breath going going outward, and then the breath that is going inward, and having a sense of awareness, your mind meditating that. And then when you have that, then you have the awareness of the mind. That's my definition of mindfulness. And such as like in Taranatha's teaching, you go on the top of the mountain, you go on the, how do you call it, not top of the mountain, sorry, you look at the peak of the mountain and you meditate. Or you look at the very far landscape and then you also meditate without any sense of I need to look there, I need to reach there, I want, none of it. Just simply gazing and keeping your mind at ease, like that. Yeah. Thank you. I need a blessing. Thank you. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm about to sneeze. Is it important to pray every single day as a student? Oh, my goodness. Excuse me. Is it important to pray every single day, as a student? You don't get enough time for that. Oh my goodness, where is that question? I sneezed so much that the question just disappeared. As you have to study for assignment or not? No, I think when you wake up, you will not do your assignment right away, isn't it? So when you wake up, just try to meditate, breathing exercise for 1-2 minutes. And then before you go to bed, and then try to visualize, Sri letter in the middle of your space here. And then think that is the essence of our Lokiteshvara and radiating in all the 10 different directions and cleansing all the negativity and the suffering of all the sentient beings. And then also giving a blessing. And with that in mind, you meditate for 2 minutes. And that's something you can do. Come on, you can do it. I'm sure you can do it. I'm sorry, my fault. New Chang. Rinpoche, I know it may be inappropriate, but I wish to have the transmission of the 5 Mahakala Sadhana. Is it possible, the practice of the Niguma Yoga? Is it possible through a Facebook live stream? No, not possible. It's only based on the live streaming on the Zoom, not on the Facebook. Because with the proper timing and planning, and then the transmission can be done. My sincere apologies regarding that. Oh my goodness, what's wrong with me? I need to drink some. Kinlidoje, hello Rinpoche, will you share some insight on the Niguma Yoga and its origin? The origin is a Niguma. In some history, in the biography of all the Bodhisattvas, of course it has a different version of it. In some history, it says Niguma is the elder sister of Naropa. Some it says she is a younger sister. Some it says she is a consort. So that's that. Regardless, her mentor is Layperson, which is a very well-known Mahabodhi individual. Niguma, later on, she said, I have no human guru, but I have one guru, and that is the Buddha himself, the Vajradhara. And that is a definition of her realization of her statement. The realization, the state of mind, that, it's a bit like that statement. None of us should attempt to say such stupid things like that, just so you know. And she has 5 golden Dharma teachings. 5 golden Dharma teachings. The reason why it is called golden Dharma is because when the Chumpo Nanjo, when he met Niguma, she was in this, in the forest, middle of the forest, and with all the bone ornaments. And the Chumpo Nanjo saw her and said, "Oh, has to be Niguma, Dake Niguma," because he was directed to that forest by other masters and Mahabodhis and Mahabodhisattvas and so on. So when they had this interaction, and the first thing she said is that I am a cannibalist. I'm going to eat you alive, and my friends are going to come, and we are going to feast on your meat. And then she didn't look like what she said. Chumpo Nanjo had this determination and the pure view that she is really a wisdom, highly enlightened, equal to green Tara or white Tara or like all the other Dakinis. So, with that in mind, he offered that few gold that he has with him. So, as he offered the gold, and then she took the gold and she threw away in the forest, and then that forest was transformed into transformed into the lake, the waterfall and the forest. Everything was turned into gold. And then Chompo Danjo said, he was amazed by that. And then Niguma, she mentioned, "Do you see that, my child?" And she said, "Yes, I see the miracle, the miracle method of Niguma." And then she said, "My dear child, if you have a pure mind, everything is pure land. If you don't have a pure mind, everything is impure." So that is the origin of 5 golden dharma of Niguma. So the 5 golden dharmas are the 6 yogas of Niguma, heat generating practice, dream yoga, illusionary body and mind, transmitting the state of the consciousness, the clear light practice, Mahamudra, and then the red dakini, white dakini, and the timeless beyond death practice, and so on. So basically all the practice goes more subtle, and so on. So that's that. Rinpoche, I saw you in my dream. I'm feeling blessed. Oh my goodness, I have invaded your privacy. My apologies for that appearing in your dream. So basically we are, it has a long history based on that. And as a Dharma practitioner, as a student, as a So that's that. Kazantashi Rinpoche, now you are very handsome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I have no hair. Last 15 years of traveling, a lot of unpleasant responsibilities and pleasant responsibilities, so I lost all my hair. So now I'm gonna do some hair transplant, hair transplant, just so that I can keep it a little bit longer, so I don't have to shave every day, So shaving every day, my goodness, so much work and so much battery and blade using, so I have to do a little bit transplant. I'm kidding. Pema Wangcho, Rinpoche, what does my dream mean? I have a dream of giving me a what? Locket by a snake. No, just don't worry too much about it. Just don't overthink it. If the dream is something auspicious, then you don't need to worry about it. It will come. And if there's something negative about it, it will also come. And there's a very rare occasion that you can alter what is bound to come. So that's that. Rinpoche la, kasi cho kaunto shuyo la. Chawa rinzi nga ena temple la yu la. Temple nga ki aba ki nyama, ngara aba ama ki tin kamba japsha. Ina lakanchi, ina na kamba. Konso ki tine kale jap, tine na, tine nga chancha na ina degi ba. Tine jachiri. Kunle Dorje Rinpoche, can you tell us the core difference between the 6 yogas of Niguma and 6 Naro yoga? Well, starting from the preliminary is different. Teaching lineage is different. Practice method is different. Visualization is different. The structure is similar, but the visualization, the yoga, the heat generating practice, the dream yoga practice, everything is distinctive. But just because it's different doesn't mean that they don't have a historical relation. Like an example, the Gambopa, Chuje Gambopa, the main student of Milarepa, Gambopa and Mokchopa. Mokchopa is like the the Milarepa version of the Shangpa lineage, where he did so many years of retreat. They met each other. They had a Niguma and Naro practice exchange. Then they praised to each other, and one said to another, "You are my guru in my previous life," and then the other one said, "You are my guru of my previous life." So they are guru and the student and guru, like that. So they had that exchange. Anyway, the difference is that in Naruchodu practice, mainly, you do Tumo, Julio, Menam, Vesepo, Aparto. That's the 6 yogas of Naropa. But when it comes to preliminary, you do prostration, you do mandala, you do Guru Yoga, Vajrasattva, and so on, right? But in the Shangpa lineage, the Niguma lineage, the preliminary is basically refuge and the cleansing of the That's it. Guru Yoga is not specially written. It's later on, it's like only a few hundred years ago that later on the Guru Yoga was added and Vajrasattva practice is added. But the original practice of the Niguma is very subtle and beautifully written, and many of the practices are very simple but very, very profound. So the refuge is there. So a little bit of small mandala, but the cleansing with the practice is there. So basically the visualization is the visualization, and not so much this bodhisattva figure or that bodhisattva figure. And then Tomo, Julu, Melam, Vessel, Poa, Pato practice are there. The 6 yogas of posture are different, technique is different, the visualization is different, and the way of reciting things and the manual of how to do the practice, these are all different. But once you're enlightened, you are enlightened. It doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. Until you are enlightened, maybe a little bit matter, there's distinction. But once you're enlightened and have a little bit of higher realization, and then it doesn't matter. Kajur Thangs, Jabje Rinpoche, Zalong La Ten, Topak Mundu, Journal Sams. Tadi Kanjur Tang Chetan Tes, Chivu Pedwala. Negi Tajin Zalong Giton Tes, Dudu watching video Tes Godewala, and Tes Shu Sikashich. To does it in a collation to come to Kosik Darola. Maria Rinpoche, can you give a refuge online soon, Rashidele? You take a refuge to the Buddha Dharma. You take a refuge to Buddha Dharma. That's important. You don't need to take a refuge from me. You take a refuge from me, you will not go anywhere. You will stay exactly the same where you were a few hours ago or even a few moments ago. You take a refuge to the Buddha Dharma Sangha. You take a refuge to all the great Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, from the bottom of your heart. And that is a refuge, I say, I want to benefit all the sentient beings, all the mother, father, sentient beings on the right and the left, and along with all the sentient beings, I take a refuge to the 3 jewels. By following the Buddha, I renounce all the negative action. By following the Dharma, I practice the truth. And by following the Sangha, I accumulate the positivity, so I develop wisdom and the clarity in mind, and so on. So that is a refuge. You do refuge by yourself. Don't take refuge to me. Yeah. You take refuge to me, you are in the same place as a few moments ago. Yeah, so that's that. Rinpoche, is it possible to attain a liberation by mixing a spiritual practice and the worldly affairs? Yeah, it's possible. Just because you practice a little bit doesn't mean you are renounced. So every practice that we do is a path of renunciation. So just because you practice doesn't mean that you are fully renounced. Only renounced practice doesn't work, because our karmic habits are too strong. So we need Dhamma practice. The renunciation comes along with it, and then eventually conclusive result will be there with a bit of understanding and Dharmic wisdom and so on. Dorich and Vlad. Dear Rinpoche, thanks for taking time to answer our questions. How can I stop blaming myself for past mistake and overcome paralyzing guilt? Well, you are a Buddhist practitioner, right? You are a Buddhist practitioner. That's why you are listening to the pathetic person like me. And then now you get a pathetic answer. Okay? So, how to stop blaming yourself? Now, as a Buddhist practitioner, blaming yourself, yeah, there's a little bit of that. But feeling guilt and carrying the idea of the guilt as a whole philosophy to renounce yourself to become better is not really the healthy way. Having a bit of awareness, I did wrong, that was incorrect, that was wrong speech, that was wrong action, and having a sense of clear understanding that that was something very wrong and I should not do it again. But then you should accelerate yourself with a sense of resilience. There's a difference between resilience and pride. So therefore, accelerating yourself with the sense of awareness and the resilience and wisdom combined together is a forward thinking and the forward path. The more you do like, oh, I'm terrible, I'm this and I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. There's a time to think like that. But doesn't mean that is the full spiritual path to think and carry on like that, isn't it? You can think like that to motivate, to awaken, to shake yourself a little bit. But eventually, that is something that you should abandon. Because if you cannot abandon, that is also attachment. So even the guilt and all of that has to abandon once you develop some sort of resilience and stability, and you should continue and maintain with your practice. Okay. Chama rinze laso rimchela nyodun jawa molam la rimchela laso tujiche chama rinze. Rinpoche, I always feel so real when communicate with different people in my life, but that is not easy to practice with everything. It's not truly exist. Could you please give me some advice? I think you're mixing up with the idea of everything is illusion, nothing is truly there, everything is emptiness. I think you read too much emptiness things. So I think what you should do is that you should practice generosity, practice compassion to develop more wisdom. The emptiness will come all by itself. And all that understanding, nothing truly exists, everything is merely a simply illusion. Every moment that is passing is also an illusion. But that idea of the illusion, that this is an illusion, that is illusion, that idea of that illusion also should not be attached between me and between that reality. Then you meditate a little bit, So if you say, oh, everything is an illusion, like a schoolboy, like a school kid, and then of course that is clear understanding, that is a clear indication you didn't understand the meaning of illusion. Then having no attachment to that realization of everything is illusion is a true understanding and realization that everything is illusion. Understand? But in order to have that kind of clarity, you need to practice generosity, practice compassion, decrease the ego, decrease the illusion, then wisdom appears by itself.